This is Justice for All with Judge Cristina Perez. Jermaine Gimbel is suing Barry Willis in the amount of $2,600. Mr. Gimbel claims Mr. Willis was negligent when his son fell into the defendant's empty swimming pool. Mr. Willis says his pool was fenced in and claims the plaintiff's son was trespassing on his property when the accident occurred.
Mr. Gimbel, you are suing the defendant, your neighbor, for $2,600.
That is correct, Your Honor.
You believe that your son was injured on his property?
Yes, Your Honor.
How old is your son?
My son is 12 years old.
12 years old. Okay, why don't you explain what happened, please?
Okay, so approximately a month ago, I was sitting at home watching television. Mr. Willis was out on the road on one of his hauls, and one of the children's mothers came to the door hysterical, saying that my son Albert had fallen into Mr. Willis's pool and she thought his leg was broken. So I rushed over, and sure enough, he was in the pool, the leg was broken. It appeared that he had gotten in through the fencing. It was a wooden fencing with slats, and two of the slats had been pried aside. And that is how he gained access.
Okay. And how many times, Mr. Gimbel, has your son gone over to Mr. Willis's home?
He's gone over many times, and I have.
And have you? Do you know when he goes over?
Not specifically. It's general practice in our neighborhood that the children are just allowed free range. Basically, better keep them in the yards than out on the street somewhere.
Yeah, but I don't know if I would be a neighbor if I would want kids coming in my backyard all the time. I want some privacy.
Exactly. Thank you.
So, as a parent, don't you? I mean, does it say in the HOA, hey, by the way, kids are allowed to go in anybody's backyard whenever they want?
It's not specified. No, it's not specified, but it's understood. And
but what if he doesn't want
his
that?
Policy.
He has expressed that he doesn't want it, and I have asked Albert not to, and asked the other children not to.
How many times have you asked Albert not to go on Mr. Willis's property?
Probably 3 or 4 times.
3 or 4 times.
And I've even talked to Albert numerous times as well. And
what have you said to Albert?
What's that?
What have you said to Albert?
I said, you cannot, and you and your friends, Albert cannot come on my property. This is my private property, and I've even talked to you several times.
How many times have you told Mr. Gimbel?
We're talking over the course of 3 years. I mean, the kids come, half dozen, 6.
Wow. And how about other neighbors? Have you told other neighbors?
One, Alice next to me, and she agrees with me about the kids. It's just too, it needs to be more structured. It's just violating my rights.
All right, so you know your son, Mr. Gimbel, goes to his property without authorization. You've claimed you've spoken to him.
Yes.
Have you spoken to your 12-year-old specifically about, I don't want you going in this guy's pool, I don't want you going into our neighbor's house, respect his property, it's not ours? Have you told him that?
I have.
Okay,
Your Honor,
all right.
Kids, kids will do what kids do. I can't. There's only so much, without.
So he's not taking responsibility, Your Honor.
Yes and no.
Yeah.
If I found out that my 12-year-old went over my neighbor's house without authorization, she'd be in trouble. If I found out that my child, 12-year-old child, went over my neighbor's house and tried to use a pool that is not theirs without their authorization, whatever the law says, the law is separate than my law and my home, as a parent, they would be in trouble.
Oh, yeah, I mean, and Albert was grounded several times for it.
Okay.
On each of the instances.
All right, so then on this instance, what happened?
I don't know the details of exactly what happened there. I know the kids are getting into skateboarding now, so my assumption is that they saw an empty pool. Yeah, they saw an empty pool and saw that as their own personal skate park.
Yeah, I'm not a skate park. I'm not going to open one.
But that's not funny.
Well, what happened, basically, Mr. Willis
I'd have an even more problem as a parent if my kid went next door, my child went next door to my neighbor's home and tried to use an empty pool.
I certainly do not allow it. I certainly do not say that this is okay.
What gave them the idea that they could do that?
The only thing I can think of is, they see it on TV. They see kids using it.
What would give a 12-year-old the idea that they can go to a neighbor's house and go ride their skateboard in an empty pool?
Honestly, I'm not sure, Your Honor.
Okay.
Coming up on Justice for All.
When you came home, did you notice that there was something wrong with the fence?
Yeah. It was kind of dilapidated. You could see it kind of.
Did it look like somebody tried to pry it open or hit it open or what?
Correct. I don't know how, but yeah, there was a gap.
You're watching Justice for All with Judge Cristina Perez. We're back with the case of Jermaine Gimbel, who is suing Barry Willis for medical expenses.
What did you do to take care of the pool, or to take precautions around the pool?
Right, you're right.
To make sure that it would be as safe as possible, because you knew you had the duty to do that, especially for these kids that are coming on your property.
Right.
What did you try to do?
Within weeks of buying the house, Your Honor, I put a fence around the pool per the two of the 7 statutes of the California law. Let me explain. The first is building a fence with a latch, a self-latching device, placed no lower than 60 inches above the ground. The second, Your Honor, is I have an alarm.
That's what you did under the current law. Okay, I got it.
So, correct, but I did this before it went into effect.
All
2 of the 7.
Okay, so then let's talk about what you have now. You have the fence.
Yeah, I have the fence around, and I have a latch. Can I show you some photos, Your Honor?
Sure,
to the court?
Bernard. Give me any evidence that you have.
Yes, Your Honor. And can I also, thank you, here's another sign. And can I also mention, as a side note, I'm going to get back to the points here, to 2 of the 7. I found a spray can on the bottom of the pool when Albert broke his leg. This is a month ago. And I'm not going to assume that he was going to do graffiti, but how else and why else would that be there? It's a good reasoning that him and his friends, somebody left it there, and he was the last one found, Albert, his son.
Albert was not the only child present at the pool at the time.
Okay, so let's continue, because the plaintiff is saying that you have failed to act reasonably in protecting the children from this hazardous condition, or this the pool.
Let me explain, Your Honor. Okay,
right. So very nice fence, by the way. Very nice.
I'm sorry, Your Honor?
Your very nice fence. I'm saying the fence.
Oh, yeah, it's the latch, correct.
Okay.
And you can see this, by the way, the signs I paid out of my own pocket. I didn't have to do that. That was an additional thing, as if it were a public pool. And so, again, I built the fence. I had it built by a contractor 3 weeks after I moved in 3 years ago. So the second component is the alarm. I have an alarm set up. When somebody exits, called an exit alarm. Okay, so those 2 of the 7 laws. What else have I done? Let me just say this. A week before the accident happened, a month ago. 2 months ago is when I noticed the kids. So a month ago, the accident happened. A week before the accident, I had the fence inspected.
Oh, okay.
So it was, to my knowledge, per the contractor, structurally sound. He's telling me that there's 2 slats.
Do you have evidence of this inspection?
Yes, Your Honor. I have the receipts for the invoice per the contractor.
Can I get that, Bernard?
Sure.
Okay, so do you have any other evidence that you may want to give me?
Oh, yes. I have the spray can.
No, I don't need the spray can. Okay, so this receipt here essentially says you had a contractor come in, and you had somebody also from the city there. Why did you have somebody from the city there?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question?
You had somebody from the city there as well as your contractor?
Just the contractor,
Just
Your
the
Honor.
contractor?
And he assured me that everything was sound. You know, when somebody builds a fence, you think it's pretty sound. And again, from the outside of the fence, Your Honor, looks like everything is complete. There's no gaps.
Your Honor, if
so then how do you think there was a gap on the day that his son went to your home?
I think they tampered with the fence. In some way, your son and his friends separated in some way. I don't know. I'm guessing.
When you came home, did you notice that there was something wrong with the fence?
Yeah. It was kind of dilapidated. You could see it kind of.
Did it look like somebody tried to pry it open, or hit it open, or what?
Correct. I don't know how, but yeah, there was a gap. You could easily see that it was pried open. So there's a brighter gap.
And the fence was made out of what?
Well, it's just a few slats, wooden slats you could see in the photos, right?
Okay.
And it's made out of wood, but it's pretty high. But those slats.
Did you have to replace that part of the fence?
Have I had it replaced? Yes, I have since. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I have since that happened.
Okay. And so then that wasn't good enough for you, Mr. Gimbel? I mean, you can see that I can give you the law so you can read. You understand what the law is, right?
No, I understand the restriction.
He only had to comply with a few of the requirements. 2 of the requirements listed, I think there's 7 or 8 listed under the law, and he actually did 3 of them?
I gave you 2 of the 7, Your Honor. California state law, by the way.
Okay. So that's enough under the law. He took all precautions that he was supposed to do under the law, building the fence, the alarm, and the latch. You actually had 3.
That's correct.
But clearly the law was put in place to protect from an accidental entry.
Well, that's what he did.
denying
That's what he did. So he followed the law, the California pool safety law. It requires that, particularly because we hear in the news so many times unfortunate accidents where kids run into the pool and they drown. So we felt that we needed to do something, and that's why this law was passed.
Yes,
and that's why
it's probably not the best thing for a homeowner to do. You know, some people didn't like it because it's, you know, an invasion of our privacy. How can you tell me what to do in my own home? But the public benefit was outweighed by the person's home's interest, saying, hey, if you're just going to have a pool, you're just going to have to be careful. And in order for us to be sure that these accidents don't happen, you have to do one of these things, at least 2 of these 7 things we're giving you. He did 3 of them. He had the fence that under the law was over 60
inches high as far as the latch.
60 feet high, 60 inches high over 5 feet.
Latch.
You had 5.5.
That's correct.
He had an alarm, and he also had a latch.
Yes.
So that's enough under the law for me to establish that Mr. Willis was not negligent, that yes, he did have a duty to act reasonably to protect others from coming, specifically from the pool, and he did. So under the law, he did nothing wrong. So based on the evidence, I will deny your claim, Mr. Gimbel. I find that the defendant in no way acted unreasonable or failed to maintain his burden to keep his home in a manner that would protect him against children, for example. So
thank you, Your Honor.
I'll deny your claim.
All rise.
Judge Perez has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's claim has been denied.
I still feel you could have done more, but I understand my son was trespassing, and I can promise you he will never do that again.
Well, glad to hear that. I am truly sorry about your son, but I'm glad the judge sided with me, seeing all I could do.